Hey guys, welcome back to the Gamers Lounge podcast. My name is John Meadows. With me as always is Eric, Nathaniel, and Dennis. How's it going, guys?
Going good?
Hello.
Good,
Going good. It's about 70 degrees over here. Usual weather report.
I'm jealous. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, I'm real jealous. 90 degrees and humid and hot and muggy and
What's
flies
humidity?
and
Something-
everywhere.
Something we don't experience in the Pacific Northwest very often.
Oh, it must be
Even in
nice.
Seattle, really.
I don't know what it's like to live in a place with no humidity. So every
That's
place
really
I've
like
always lived has always had humidity. So
Sweat just doesn't dry off you. You just sweat and sweat.
yep, just sweat and sweat some more, and you keep sweating. It's really gross.
All right. Well,
It's like I always say, you can always put more clothes on. I can only take so many off. That's why I like it when it's cold.
Very true.
What's that, Nathaniel? You're muted. I couldn't hear you.
There we go. That's
Oh,
better.
there we go.
Oh, boy.
I said we've peaked. No more podcast. Podcast done for tonight.
Yeah.
Can't get any better than that.
No, you really can't.
did anybody get the... I'm sure I know some of us bought some stuff this week, but anybody else besides John and I get the Genesis Mini? Nobody?
I did not know. I thought about it because I mean, I love Sega, but it was one of those things where I was just like, I know it's going to end up like the same way that my NES and Super Nintendo did, where it's just I'm going to play a couple games on it for a couple hours, and then that's it.
And I think that's like, I'm sure they'll have a way to hack it eventually. But
I
I bought
hope.
mine, and I was like, oh man, that version from Japan has the 6-button controller. That's the one.
It's a great collection of games, though. I think it's fantastic.
You know what? I would rather have the 3-button controller than the 6-button controller. I like the old 3-button controllers, but that's what I played most. I never really got the 6-button controllers till well after the Genesis was
and
dead
you
gone.
really only need
You
the
know,
6-button controller for like Street Fighter and like Mortal Kombat, the
right?
fighting games.
The fighting
Other
games.
than that,
True.
you're good with just a 3-button.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of pitched a fit about, it doesn't come with a 6-button controller, and then there was some kind of issue with some of the 6-button controllers. They were drifting or something like
You
that.
just
I
get
don't
the ones from
remember.
Retrobit that they made that are they're like $20. That's
Yeah.
fine. Good enough.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but it-
Everybody's got to complain. Everybody has a problem with something.
I bought it, and the only reason I bought it was because I just wanted it. I didn't want it to play or anything like that. I played it for about 5 minutes. Went, yep, it's really cool. I like the music in the menu. The games are awesome. Put it back in the box, and it's going on the shelf with all the other mini consoles. It's more of a display collection piece than it is something.
Right.
Even though I spent $80 on it. But still,
I already know that as far as everything building up and even just the launch of this. I mean, already. Well, when did it come out? Was it Friday? It was Friday, right?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So within 48 hours, I can already tell it's been a massive, much more of a success than the PlayStation Classic. So,
oh yeah,
that abomination. So,
and I mean
It's on fire.
it works fine. There's a little bit of lag with it, but I mean, for what it is, it's fine. I mean,
there's games there you want to play.
Yeah,
People were complaining. I'm like, you know what? It's off the shelf. It has a bunch of great games across different stuff. Just buy it.
Well, and in this day and age with emulation, you're not going to get a one-to-one lagless experience with those classic consoles like you did on a CRT back in the day. It's just not going to happen. Yeah.
Right.
Even with the OSSC and the RetroTink, there's still a little bit of lag with it. There's always, on an LCD, there's always going to be because of the refresh rate. I mean, it's just the way it is. But I don't know. People get bent out of shape about it, but it's like I don't know if you saw it on Twitter, Eric, and Dennis, you might have seen it too. Sega sent out Towers of Power. They sent out the CD units,
cool.
the 32X, and Sonic and Knuckles and thing, and it all connects to the system. It does nothing. It's just pure for show. But
Just for looks, right?
Yeah, it's just for looks. It came out in Japan in mass production, but they didn't do it in the U.S. as mass production. So they sent out. I follow the PR guy online. I think they said they made like 70 of the U.S. versions, and they sent them out to just select YouTube people. And some of the YouTubers that didn't get them were like really pissed that they didn't get it. It was like, just let it go. I wanted one, but I don't know why. Once again, just to set on a shelf as a showpiece. That's all it is.
Right.
But if you took the CD unit apart, there was actually a printed paper with what the insides of the Sega CD unit looked like in there. That was so weird.
Awesome.
It was like,
That's awesome.
it had a little Sega or a Sonic CD in there printed on it. It was
I like little things like that though, where it's just like you wouldn't expect to find something in there, but then like you do, and like that excites me because it's like what was it? I think with the One X, isn't it like if you take it apart, you have like a Master Chief riding the Scorpion?
Yeah, there's
Something
something
like that
on
on,
the
like,
motherboard of
on
it.
the
Well,
motherboard, yeah.
and then the Pro controllers, the Nintendo Pro controllers, you take them apart, and on the analog stick where it's at, there's some kind of message written on there too, or something.
Right,
So.
right, yeah. I love little things like that, things that are just like, because someone's going to do a teardown, so you may as well surprise them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? Yeah, that stuff
The
really.
inside of the Switch is just the Triforce.
Yeah, really. It's nothing but just the Triforce.
It really is magic.
No wonder this thing gets hot. It's
What's inside?
Yeah, what's inside? So, speaking of the Switch, I did get a Switch Lite.
I ran into one on Friday when I went to go pick up my copy of Link's Awakening, as well as the Amiibo as well.
Yep, I got one of those. I had to get one of those.
It's so... They really went over the top with the polishing on this thing, because this thing is shiny.
Yeah,
it is absurd. But it's really cute though. But right next to it, I mean, they had a whole display of the Switch Lite and everything. And I keep looking at that turquoise, man. I'm like, I don't need it right now. Like, I want it, but I don't need it. There's a difference.
I wasn't intending on buying one at all, because it's like I really don't need it. And I got to thinking, now that I'm on the road more, and I'm lugging this laptop, and then I'm taking the regular Switch with me, and I have my suitcase is a backpack. It's a backpack suitcase. So I put the laptop in, then I've got the Zelda Collector's Edition case with the games and everything. Stick that in there. Then I put my clothes in there, and I'm like, holy crap, this bag must weigh 70 pounds.
Right.
So it's like, well, I think if I get this thing weighs nothing. I mean, this thing is so light that it doesn't even feel like you're holding anything. I mean, it's insane.
I saw people do like comparisons of it's only apparently 0.5 inches larger than the Vita.
Yeah.
Apparently. So that was very shocking to me. I didn't realize it was going to be that drastic of a change.
Yeah, I don't have my Vita down here, or I would hold it up with it. But yeah, it's ridiculous how small it is. But it's light. The battery life is amazing on it. I think I played 3 or 4 hours of Link's Awakening last night, and still had like 34% battery.
That's not bad at all. Yeah, that battery would have gone out on the OG Switch model.
Yeah. Usually it goes out about 2 hours into a game.
That's right. Yeah.
So my OG Switch is officially docked, and it will never be out of the dock again, and it's hooked up to this TV. And
just put chains around it to this to make sure.
Chains.
Well, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, sharing games on it's going to be a pain in the butt." It's really not. What I did was I made this my primary Switch now. So if I'm somewhere where you don't have internet service, it won't check to see if you have to, you have the rights to play this game. Whereas the one that's over here on the TV, it'll always have an internet connection unless the internet goes down.
Now, do you know if, because I know with, do you know if there's like a time limit on it? Like if it's just like, I guess, how am I trying to get this point across? Like if you don't have an internet connection, you can still play it, but after like a certain amount of time, it will have to validate just to make sure. I guess.
I don't know. I think as long as it's your primary, it's no big deal.
Okay.
It doesn't check. I think the only thing it does check is like the online games, the NES and the Super NES games. I think they check.
Yeah.
But as far as anything else, it doesn't really check. What's funny is I had an extra memory card, so I popped it in there. I just downloaded the games that I wanted on it, not every freaking game I own. That's on the other one. But what's funny about it is before you start, you just go over and go, oh, hey, you have a backup save on the cloud. Do you want to download it? Sure. And then you go to your other one and you get online. It's like, hey, this save data on this one's outdated. Do you want to download the one that's on the cloud? Sure. And I mean, it's easy to do. I think the only game it's not is that I have is Pokemon, but you can manually transfer it. I can transfer it from that system to this system over the internet right now, and it'll do it.
Okay, so you can do. Okay, so that's what I was worried about, and that's my thing, because like I was like, okay, well, if I were to get this, my biggest issue would be I think if I did get a Switch Lite, it would be a primary digital console for me.
Yeah,
but Pokemon was my biggest concern because I know they're like, oh, well, you don't want people like duplicating Pokemon and whatnot.
Right.
So the whole cloud save issue with that. But you're saying that it is pretty seamless to just manually do it then?
Yeah, like before I would start to play it, I would turn on this system and you go into the system transfer and choose the
Yeah.
game that you want to transfer to.
Mhm.
Then you go to the other system and receive that save.
Okay.
And then when
Okay.
I'm done with it, I can send it back to this. Just go transfer, receive, and I'm good to go. It's a pain in the butt kind of step, but
Right.
you can do it, even though they don't.
But
have cloud save.
it's still a vast improvement from the. I guess the reason why I'm so curious about this is because I'm just kind of traumatized by the whole how it was done on 3DS, where if you wanted to go between multiple 3DSs, 7 days you had to wait.
Oh,
Yeah, no, it's not like
And,
it's not like that at all. It's not
Thank
like
God.
that at
Okay.
all. Like I
So
said,
it's 2019.
yeah, the cloud
So, okay,
saves. Like I
good.
said, the cloud saves are the easiest way to do it. I mean, they absolutely are just
Right.
simple. It's the ones that you can't do like I know Splatoon and Pokemon. I don't know of any other ones that don't have cloud backup, but
Mhm.
but those, like I said, it is. I don't want to say a pain, but it is another step that you have to do,
Right.
which is kind of odd. But
That's
yeah,
just so weird that's like I get it, but at the same time, it's just like no one else seems to have this issue on Xbox or PlayStation with
right.
a lot of multiplayer
Yeah, I
only
mean, it's just
games, So
Nintendo
I
makes
don't
it a
really
little bit difficult. I don't know why. That's the thing. Is like, I mean, there's probably easier ways to do it, but who knows?
I
right.
don't know. I guess they just take Pokemon so seriously with the legendaries and stuff. Maybe I don't know. I mean,
And
to
I
me, it's like I
so
get it,
so
but
yeah,
I don't get it.
right. And Pokemon, I'm a little more lenient towards, but something like Splatoon, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Yeah, that one didn't make sense to me at all. That one, I don't know why. I think the other one, I don't think Sid Meier's Civilization does cloud save either. But I wonder if it doesn't do cloud
That's
save
weird.
because it does. You could cross save between PC and the Switch. Maybe I don't know. I don't
That
know
would
if
make
that would.
That's inevitably cloud based somehow to do that anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I wonder if maybe that's why they can't do both because it needs to be here to transfer to there, and if you have it here, I don't know. I wouldn't think it would matter.
They just
but,
need to cut it in. There's no reason why you can't send it to two places if you need to.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the only other one that I can think of on my system that won't transfer. But yeah, I mean, other than that, this little thing is amazing. I guess for as light and as thin and as small as it is, I can't believe it's a Switch. Yeah,
I was shocked when I saw the box. I still haven't held one, like the device itself, in my hand, but when I saw the box, I was like, what? Even the box, and I would imagine it's even smaller, obviously, because it's a box. So when I
yeah,
saw the box and how small it was, I was like, again, it was just much. I didn't expect it to be that drastic.
yeah.
So,
Well, and it doesn't have the
I
dock
mean,
or anything. It's just got
yeah,
the
it's like the
charger.
dock
Yeah.
takes up a bit of space than the
Yeah.
regular one, so it's
Right.
definitely smaller than that for
And
sure.
the Joy-Con grip and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I mean, I'd like to say I can't get over how light and thin it is. I mean, it's just with the regular Switch, I have big hands, and it's like, oh man, my hands cramp after I play. This I don't get a cramp, and I'm wondering if it's the weight of it maybe has a lot to do with
Probably.
it.
Definitely weight. That's always been my issue with the 3DS XL in particular. The weight always made my hands cramp. Unfortunately.
Yes, Jody, it absolutely is worth the money. Whether you go with a regular Switch or go with one of these, I mean, that's my thing. Is I like the Switch console is my favorite console anyway, so I'm a little biased like that. But if you're not interested in playing it on TV at all and you just want it handheld, this is the way to go. I mean, $200 and you're good to go. I mean, I know Spinner asked what kind of memory card I have in it. This one only have a 256. In my other one that's docked to the TV, I actually have a 400, which is 3/4 of the way full.
Jesus.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but that's just because you have so many games. Most people are gonna.
Yeah. I have well over 100 physical games, and I think I have probably about 50 or 60 digital games. So there you go. So And I try to be particular about it. There's actually 2 games I don't have installed on my 400 gig, and that's DC Universe and NBA 2K19, because they're both like 25 gigs.
DC Universe is a big one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I totally would recommend the Switch. You know, if you just want to, if you don't have one, or you're on the road all the time, or you go on trips all the time, this Switch Lite is totally worth it. It's cool. I went with everybody's like, ew, the banana yellow one. I like the yellow one.
No, I like all the colors. Honestly, I think they're all great colors. I'm more partial towards the turquoise. How is the D-pad?
It is adequate. I will say that. It's not like using. You never got one of your Joy-Cons modded with the D-pad, did you? Or did
No,
you?
I don't, but I did get one of the third-party Hori ones, though.
I've never played with one of the Hori ones, so I can't compare it to that.
Like these ones, basically. This one feels pretty.
Yeah, this is a D-pad. I mean, it's just a regular D-pad. It doesn't have that clickiness. It's not like using the buttons. I haven't played a game. I haven't played a game yet where I can use the D-pad to play with, because I've only been playing Link's Awakening. I did boot up Astral Chain with it just to see it running on this little tiny system.
That must be so cool to see those like console quality titles, like on something like that.
Well, and this I totally see this being the 3DS successor. They just say, you know what, this is...
I mean, that's what they're doing. They're putting out this so that anyone who got a 3DS or something like that for their kids, they can get this, but it's still the same game, so they don't have to develop 2 different directions.
Yeah.
And ideally, that would be good for someone like me, but I don't travel enough. I don't really take my Switch with me, mainly because of, like, I have enough space in my bag, but there's usually a lot of other stuff in there. And I'm like,
right. I mean, this thing takes up like a quarter of the space in my bag that my big one did.
Yeah.
Just because the case I got is thinner, and it's smaller, and and at one point I was lugging 30-some games around with me in a little box. I had a little, and it's like, you know what? I really don't need that many games. That's just so silly to carry that many games around with me, because I never play but 1 or 2 of them. So it's like, I'm not going to download every game I own to this one. But if I want to play something on it that I don't have on here, I'll just download it, and then it'll be, yep, I'm good to go. And so, but yeah, I mean, this thing's really. I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised of the quality of it, and just I mean, it's just. So light. And then I go pick up yesterday when I was going over this console and doing this, and then going back there, I pick up the old one. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is heavy. I mean, it's so that's what I did yesterday. I ended up talking myself into it, because there was a lot of. I'd watched a couple YouTube videos of reviews of it, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's it's a good system. It's the Switch Lite is this, it's that, it's that, it's this," and they're like, "It's really good if you travel a lot, but you don't want to take your big one with you." And I'm like, "I travel a lot. I never thought about keeping my big one docked all the time, because I very rarely kept it docked. So it's like, well, now it's docked all the time, and now it's not going to know what to do with itself, because it's not going to have miles on it like this one." This one's going to, but
I think that's awesome though. I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't get one right away though, is just because, like, I mean, I'm not in a position where I do find myself, out and about often. So I was just like, it's not something I.
Well, I mean, it's like unless you play exclusively at handheld, I mean, I wouldn't run out and buy one. I just wouldn't.
Right. I think I do see one. Being in my possession in the future. It may not be this year though. I'm hoping. I want a solid. I'm curious about upcoming limited editions. Not the Pokemon Sword and Shield one. I thought that one was really ugly, to be honest. But anything that's coming in the future, I guess. What kind of cool Switch Lights they have planned, I guess, in terms of design.
And I could see them going crazy like they did with the 3DS as well.
3DS. Yeah, it was like every other month it felt like there was some type of.
Yeah, there's always one, and I finally got the Monster Hunter one, and then they brought out the Metroid one. I was like, gosh dang it, I like that Metroid one, but I'm not buying another 3DS. But there's people out there that collect 3DS consoles that have.
I have 3, but that's where I peak. I'm not having any more than that.
I just have the one. That's all I have. And before that, it was the very first 3DS. It was
Right.
It's like I can't. As much as I would like to buy those, cool limited edition consoles, I don't unless I need to upgrade the console. And
and then like we were saying earlier with like, I mean, it really is just a pain with that whole process thing. At least with Vita, they made it easy. It was just like, just take the memory card out you have from the other one and put it in that one. You're good to go.
Right.
That was it. But the 3DS was just like, you go through these processes. All right, connected. We got to validate it. Okay, log in. Okay, 7 days, by the way. And then that transfer process took forever also. And it was like, come on, I don't understand. This is just so... I just feel like I'm on dial-up. Those days are over.
Well, that's the one thing with this. I will give you a pro tip. Don't go on the Nintendo website and deactivate your old console. Do it on the old console. Deactivate it, because then all you have to do is the first console that you connect with the eShop with, after you deactivate that, becomes your primary console. So you don't have to register it or anything. If you go on the website and deregister it, you will not be able to deregister a console for a year. So don't do it through the website. You can do it as many times as you want through the system. Just don't go on the website and do it on your account. For some reason, that'll lock you out of it for a year, and I don't know why.
So security.
Yeah,
so
some caveat.
Your account, they can't just keep doing it.
So don't do it through the website. So that's a pro tip. Don't do it through the website, because I watched. There was a video. I watched it 3 times. And I was like, okay, this guy makes sense. Let me watch this 3 times and check and make sure before I do it. And so far, I've had no issues whatsoever. Just as soon as I pop a game in, I go hit the plus button and go down to cloud save and download the cloud save through it, and then boot up the game and go. So
speaking of the plus button, rest in peace to the select and start buttons. I miss them.
Yeah,
a lot. I think about weekly. So
I think about them weekly.
I don't know.
It's like a loved one when you're playing and you're like, oh man,
right? Because they're all just a bunch of icons now, and then like every time you're playing a game, it's just like, especially on Xbox, they don't make any sense. Like those icons make no sense to me.
No.
So like, it's just like hit the hamburger, hit the one that looks like it has 2 windows, and I'm just like, it's just start and select.
Yeah, it's just start and select. Not let's see, it's options and share on the PlayStation. I don't even know the names of them on the Xbox.
I neither do I.
I just now I'm trying to think of it, and I can't think of it. But you're right, double windows and 3 lines. That's what
right.
That's how I see it. Icons that you see on like web pages and stuff.
Yeah.
You see the little like thing for menu, so that's usually what the menu is on. So
yeah, and I guess that's one. I guess one's menu, and the other one.
The other one looks like a restore on your like Windows.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're right.
Hit to restore.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. You're absolutely right.
I don't know why they decided to put those on there, but they just did. I mean, the other older Xbox, it wasn't really anything. It was just like different triangles.
Yeah.
Those
hilarious though. It's just you're right. There's no start and select anymore on anything.
I miss them, because I still call them.
And now the PlayStation X, I found out the other day, is not even X. It's a cross. It's not. It's officially cross.
They say.
Not X. It'll always be X to me. Dang it!
Look, don't worry. I'll get a petition put up on change.org.
Really? I don't care what they say. It'll always be X to me. So let's get into what we've been playing. I'll start with Dennis, because me and him played the exact same thing, and that's Link's Awakening. How far are you in the game?
So I have, in terms of instruments, let's just put it that way. There's 7 instruments, I believe, and I'm working on getting my 6th one at the moment.
Oh, wow, okay. I'm only working on number 3, so I'm a little behind.
Oh, number 3, okay, yeah. And dude, I've been having such a ball with it. It's such an incredible game, and I thought about it before we actually started the podcast, where I was like, I don't think there's a series that is as consistent in terms of quality as Zelda. like Zelda, every series has had their bad entries, Zelda included, but no one, I think, has been as consistent as Zelda. Where most of them, you're always going to have like more often than not a good time, a great time, a memorable time.
Yeah.
And nothing ever feels like a throwaway or a cash in, except for Triforce Heroes that can get out of here. But
Yeah, that one. I'll agree with you on that one.
yeah, that. Anyways, but but yeah, no, I was just thinking about that, and I was like, and the reason why it came to my mind is I initially wasn't going to pick this game up, because I don't know, it was just one of those things where I was just like, it's not something that I need right away. But then as now that I'm like so close to the end now, I'm just like, well, here it is, another Zelda game I just couldn't put down, and then, so that's why it just kind of came to my head. I was just like, this is just so consistent, this series, and it's a reliable one, and I think that's why it's worked so well for 30 plus years now at this point, or however long Zelda's been around. So there's a reason why Zelda as a property is just one of the most beloved and one of the most well-known series ever. So
I was surprised how much it was almost a 1-to-1 of the Game Boy.
I mean, the
That's
reviews
right.
I'm not saying that it which is. There's nothing really different except for the add-on dungeons.
Well, and
I've
I
never
figured it
finished
was
the original, so this
well, I haven't either. That was the thing. I have a copy of the Game Boy game, but I think I've got it maybe 5 years ago. I didn't have a Game Boy when it was. I got one eventually, but it was more for Pokemon than it was for the Zelda games.
Yeah.
So I never really played much of it. So, but I am enjoying the game. The art style is.
A review
Yeah, I mean, I haven't
podcast.
Oh, it's fantastic.
The 3DS, and I think I got like halfway through, and
Yeah.
maybe I got distracted by another game or stuck.
There was
we
one
all
I was
do.
listening to where they replayed the Game Boy version right before this came out.
Yeah,
and then
I read
played
that
this one,
review.
and they were saying that it's like very, very close, other than just like modern graphically, but just the game design is all pretty much the exact same.
So it shouldn't take more than 5 hours to beat, maybe something like that. It shouldn't be very long because I know.
I love Zelda, but I love how this
5
looks.
hours,
I'm not
really?
paying $60.
Dang it!
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a long game. I want to say it's 5-6 hours tops, and that's probably
I think-
if you do the side quest stuff.
What if I
Yeah,
keep-
I think if you know what you're doing, you can easily run. you can easily
10 hours?
you can easily run through the game. Like I know, for example, like Link Between Worlds, those old like top-down Zeldas. I mean, you see speedruns, two people beat in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's
You
like
know?
ridiculous.
So,
I don't even
Yeah,
understand.
because there's some items where it's just like we'll just get them early and we'll just break all of these dungeons, basically.
Yeah.
So
Good for them.
yeah, and
Speed run. Just enjoy the game.
so this one has, I want to say, let me see. For me, it's been more than 6 hours because I spent 7 hours the first day. And honestly, like 2 of those 7 hours was me just trying to running around figuring where do I go, where do I go, So I think if you knew where to go and didn't have any hiccups like that, then yeah, you'd probably be 6 hours, no problem.
And and where I'd played the first little bit of the DS or of the Game Boy game, it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember. I go here, 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 because it really doesn't give you any direction unless you go over to the telephone and say, hey, where do I go next? And the lady on the telephone says, you need to go over here if that's what you're wanting to do.
Well, half the time they're just so esoteric about what they say too. It's just like, dude, like I'm not here to solve a riddle. I asked for help. Just tell me where to go.
Yeah.
But they turn into the Riddler.
That was one of those things that made that game so unique and strange, though, because it wasn't like any other Zelda game. I mean, you had Kirby in it, you had some Mario characters in it, and Goombas and stuff like that. It was like, this is just weird.
That's because it wasn't originally a Zelda game.
Yeah,
a little weird like crossover.
Yeah, I think this version so far, from what little bit of it I've played, like I say, I've maybe played 3 hours of it or something like that, maybe a little more. It seems a little easier than the Game Boy version. I don't seem to have, at first, maybe the first time I fight a boss, it's like, oh, I should have done this. Oh, okay, I died real quick. Oh, well, I only need to roll. Boom, 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 I'm done. It's like, okay, it's not like it's, and I'm okay with that. I don't need a huge challenge to still have fun.
True.
Plus, there's so many other games coming out. If I can knock this one out pretty quick and still enjoy it, it's
That's
like I
me.
can go on.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think they're
It's just
tailoring.
like-
This one is more towards kids than some of the other ones.
That's why she
Not
fired
that
up.
Zelda's
So quick,
ever
get it done in
super
5 hours.
difficult.
Yeah, and that could be too. It may kids or the more casual play of it. But it seemed like the Game Boy version was a little more difficult. But I could just be remembering that wrong because I didn't play a lot of the Game Boy version.
You have many years between then and now.
Yeah, that's true
Oh,
too.
True
So.
skills.
all I keep thinking about every time I do play Link's Awakening, though, is like how much I would love a remake for Oracle of Seasons / Ages.
Yeah, that would be a
I
good
would
one to
love that.
remake.
Probably.
I'm still the remake that I want the most, or the HD remaster. I still want Skyward Sword without the motion controls. If they
Yeah.
if it doesn't have all that motion control stuff, I think it would be a more enjoyable game.
And get rid of that 3-hour tutorial.
Maybe,
Yeah, the
but,
long
yeah,
tutorial.
there's still more issues than just motion controls.
Yeah. The big thing that made me quit though was the motion controls because I really didn't want to sit there and do this.
Forget Skyward Sword. Just
That's what
do
Link's
the-
bow training was for. You didn't get that?
Oh yeah.
Should have played that before Skyward Sword.
Yeah, maybe that was the problem. I played it before Skyward Sword. Maybe.
That's right.
Forget Skyward Sword. I want them to put the Wii U versions of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess
Yeah.
onto the Switch.
That'd be
That would be
amazing.
good,
Yeah.
yeah, because those are two really good Zelda games, and I would think those would be pretty simple and easy to port, between the two systems. I mean, we saw how easy they ported, Mario Kart and
Exactly.
everything.
I mean,
else
they're
that's
on a
built.
short list of big games left that they haven't ported yet, so probably see them at some point.
Well, I'm sure we probably will because, there's. Next year.
Chance to make more money.
They may have next fall. We may get another one out there. Keep the Zelda train running on this. So
Yeah, because then they'd have that as a stopgap for whenever the next real one comes out.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's like the Amiibo. That's the first Amiibo that I've bought in a long time, and I wasn't going to buy it. And I was standing over at GameStop to pick up another game. I ended up getting the Treen 1 through 3 collection that you could only get at GameStop because it was the only physical version. The other one, the collection that comes with 4, the 4 is physical and the other 3 are download codes. And I was like, I'd rather have a cartridge for it. So, but the only place to get it was GameStop, so I stopped it over there, and they had the new Amiibos on the back shelf behind the counter. And he was like, anything else you need today? Yeah, give me that stupid Zelda Amiibo. It's too cute to walk out of here without it.
Just sitting here staring at me. Saying,
Yeah.
Funny enough, the same thing happened to me because I did not have this Amiibo pre-ordered. I went to Best Buy. It was just for the game, and then I was just like, you know what? It's there. It's the last one. It must be fate or something. Forget it.
Yeah.
Just give it to me.
So, and I didn't look at any of the other Amiibos, but that one has a lot of Japanese writing and characters on it. Do they just not are they all they used to do some for America and American packaging and then Japanese packaging?
That's right. And they had like French and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I wonder now if they just do one packaging for everybody instead of trying to. Because, like I said, it's been a long time since I saw Amiibo, but I noticed it said Link's Awakening, and then it's saying if you look at the bottom of that thing, it's all in Japanese. The whole bottom of the bottom of it is all Japanese.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it was like, I wonder if they're just not, maybe they're just importing all of them now instead of maybe that's how they're getting around the shortages. Instead of trying to print for this country and print for that country and print for this country, they're just printing one with all the languages on it.
I mean, it would definitely simplify their packaging.
Yeah.
As far as only having to make one version of it.
But I haven't, like I said, I haven't bought Amiibos in so long that I haven't noticed if they, they change because I usually don't pay any attention to them. So, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyway, that's what I've been playing. Eric, what have you been playing? Anything interesting?
Only very briefly. I downloaded Downwell on Android because it was free. I thought I had it before, but there was some sort of like update. They had like changed something with the game release. So if you had it before, you need to re-download it. And I could have swore I had this on PS4 or maybe something else. I don't think on Switch, but I'm like, I played this before. Maybe on PC. I know what it is. It's that little game where it's black and white and you're just falling down this giant well and you're using these guns on the side of your feet to boost up and down. It's fun. It was an easy distraction. I played some more Forbidden Arts for Switch as well, but I'm pretty much throwing in the towel because, It's not a terrible game, but there's a lot of things about it that really get on my nerves.
Is that the role playing game? Is that the RPG, the Japanese RPG? Let me look it
I
up
don't
because
think so. It's made with the Unity engine. It's like a 2D. I would call it almost like a 2D Zelda 2 kind of with less polish.
I gotta look at it. I
Long
don't
load
remember.
times.
Did we get it for
And-
review? Yeah. Okay.
And
Yeah.
bad combat.
Oh, really? That one looked
Yeah.
really cool.
You did. The art style looked cool. It's like, oh, I could play this, and then I'm like on the third level, and I'm just like, ooh. This is
Yeah, it's
pretty-
like it's very 3D.
It has some potential, but there's not a lot that makes it stand out from a lot of other games. That's the problem.
Yeah, it
But
looks
I
like
mean, it's not terrible for the right price. I could maybe recommend it. I need to finish that review this week. But
that's $15. I mean, that's not
yeah,
bad,
okay.
I guess.
If you're looking for like a 2D adventure game with like light role playing elements, this would be a good fit. Although
5 worlds, 6 boss fights, 30 different enemies, 12 hours of gameplay. Hand painted art style. It looked really cool, and when they sent us the code, I was like, man, that looks really awesome. I would like to try that, but
the music gets on my nerves very quickly.
oh, that stinks.
It's very repetitive.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's be more positive. I was going to play some Control this weekend, but I ran out of time. So, and Link's Awakening, and Yoshi, whatever the Yoshi game is for Switch, Crafted World. You know. Yoshi.
Well, let's see. I bought Link's Awakening Friday. I got Link's Awakening, Trine 1 through 3, and Nino Kuni, all on the Switch. So those are like, I'm just apparently dying for a beating there or something because Nino Kuni's a 40, 50, 60 hour role playing game.
So, speaking of impulse buys, that reminded me. I actually walked out with a couple of things actually. So not only did when I went to go pick up Link's Awakening, not only did I walk out with the amiibo, obviously, but I noticed when I was just kind of taking a lap around the store, your mileage may vary, so I don't know if this happened in every Best Buy, but they had the steel books for Crackdown 3. They were just giving them out for free.
Huh.
And I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have the game physically. I played it and I beat it via Game Pass, but I was like, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I like steelbooks, and it's like, yeah. And I was like, if it's free, why not? So I asked, I was just like, is this actually free? And then they scanned and they was like, yeah, sure enough, it's yours. I'll put it in the bag for you. I was like, all right, word, thanks. So I got that, and also on the corner of my eye before I left. I don't know why. I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna play it, but it was $8. I was like, why not? I picked up the Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy combo, and I don't know if I'm ever gonna play it, but I think it'd be a fun thing to just stream. I expect it to be not so good. So, but
I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, it won't be groundbreaking, but it'll be fine. I'm sure. That's funny.
Death Stranding.
Yeah, $8 though. I would probably pick it up for $8 too. Why not?
Yeah, that's why I was like, why not? Because like it dropped down from, I think it was like the regular MSRP was like 30, and I was like, forget it.
Well, if anything, me and the wife would play it. That would be cool.
Yeah, I got it. I figured it'd also be one of those things. Just like, if you ever have friends over, if you go over to someone's house or something like that, just it'd be a fun game that couch co-op.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I like steelbooks too, and I've been seeing what a lot of people do with steelbooks. You could get like this. You go to the craft store and it's like tape, but it's magnets. It's real thin with sticky on one side, and they'll stick them on the walls, and then they'll stick the steelbooks on there and make like a whole wall of steelbooks to display their steelbooks. Looks really
like
cool.
Homebrewed Display, I believe it is like a place that you buy stuff like that. They have metal posters and things.
Yeah,
and a lot of them are like movies and game properties, but if you had steelbooks, you could do it yourself.
Yeah. That would be a real cool way to display, all your steelbooks if it didn't scratch them up or anything. That would be really cool. I never thought about it.
You can rearrange them to stick them to the magnets different.
Yeah. If you want to, or when you get a new, you get a new one, shuffle them around, stuff like that. Yeah, that's cool. Cool idea.
Right.
See, we're crafty here. Dang it. Nathaniel, what have you been playing?
One of the things I've been playing, I finished up Astral Chain.
Oh,
That game is just really fun, but
Yeah.
the final chapter is frustrating because of the camera, mostly. So it's like you've come to the big epic finale of this anime crazy game that you've been playing,
Right.
and you're like, man, I like what they're trying to do, but trying to run down this hallway like a dozen times in a row and not making it really sucks. Especially when you finally do make it and you realize you were literally 1 foot from the end of the hallway.
I hate
It's
that.
like,
I hate it.
it's one of those things where it's like an Uncharted style thing where you're running towards the camera,
Yeah.
but you're not running yourself. They tell you like, oh no, this hallway's starting to collapse. Get on your like Panther Legion, whatever it's called. Ride it because that's the fastest you can go. By the time that I did that the first time, it caught up to me and I was dead. They didn't give me enough time to actually get on it and figure out what was going on. So then, like, the next few times I was doing it, and you have to dodge back and forth from either side of the hallway, but you're like running towards the camera, so it feels a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hey, this one's going to come from the left wall or from the floor or the right wall. You have to keep dodging it. And even then, I did all of that right, and I still would just get caught right before I got to the end. It's just like, that needed just a little bit more tuning. Because it's just like so narrow the window that I had to hit. But then you get past that and you get to kind of like this boss fight versus a really giant epic end of game style boss.
Yeah.
If you've played any other Platinum games, like, okay, they like their end game bosses to be gigantic and like, hey, let's do something cool. But the
Right.
camera is a little awkward and weird. And you're trying to figure out, okay, I have to go here to dodge the attack that the boss is throwing at me to get out of the way, but there's not just a little bit less time than you think you would need to get there. And I'm playing on casual too. It's not like I'm playing on the highest difficulty.
Right. Yeah.
I was just like, difficulty spike on that went up, not because of the enemy, but because of just the camera mechanics being slightly weird and different than what you're used to for the whole game.
Huh.
And then once you finish that, it rolls credits, and then it goes back into the menu. It tells you, it has a little message like, hey, you can go to chapter 12 now. I'm like, okay, what's that? You go in and it gives like a little montage of where are they now montage of all the characters.
Yeah.
And it's the absolute only time in the game. Why they did this, I don't know why. Your character actually is the one speaking.
Huh.
If you did it for that, that was my big complaint for the whole game. The character that you're playing as never speaks ever in the entire game, except for that final little montage.
Huh.
You're like, why? You had voice actors for both of them. That's the biggest thing about Astral Chain. I brought it up last time. It's like, you know, like you had them. Why didn't you just write it where they're talking? Because a lot of the big moments in the game would hit way better if the two characters could speak to each other instead of just like looking at each other and like doing like a little nod and a grunt or something. You're like, oh, it's like, come on, guys. And then you go back in and you have like all these kind of like combat encounter cases that you can do. I think there's like 70 of them that you can do. Wow. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm done. Story's done. I'm out.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be like 3 months later or something dumb. But it's like, hey, go fight these enemies. Okay, go fight these enemies in this part of, you know, the game that you've been to before. I'm like, nah, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I already finished the story and it was very predictable, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
It's like from the very first kind of like opening of the game, I was like, I called it. I was like, that person's going to be the bad guy at the end. And hey, look, I was right. But yeah, I don't know. That was another thing too, because the final boss had different forms. And the first one was like gigantic. The second one, you're kind of in some weird abstract thing that is just like really hard to do because it's hard to tell what was going on just because of the so busy, all this stuff on screen. Like that game is very busy to begin with, but that like middle section of that final boss fight was just like, okay, this is like information overload. I can't tell where attacks are going to come from at this point. I can't dodge them very well.
Yeah.
And then you have like another fight, like form after that, which was actually the fun part of the boss fight. But yeah, I don't know. The game has some flaws, but it's still really, really fun to play.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus of it. It's really fun. Still has some flaws, but it's still a fun, good game. So.
But the game I've been putting the most time into is Pathfinder Kingmaker.
Yeah, I got to look this up because I don't believe I've heard of this game.
It came out about this time last year. It's about 1 year old. I bought it on sale a while ago in the summer when Steam had their sale, and I hadn't gotten around to it till now. now I've put about like 45 hours into it or so. It is a computer RPG. Think of like, Divinity Original Sin,
Yeah, that's what I was looking
or
at here.
Pillars of Eternity for current ones, or like Baldur's Gate back in the day, that kind of thing. Except this one is the official Pathfinder game, so it has the full official Pathfinder rule set. So anytime you're leveling up your character, it takes a little while because you're literally doing the same exact thing you would before. The tabletop game has all the different stats, all the
Right.
different classes you can go into. And you have to look at like, okay, well, which feat do I want to take this time? Which skill do I want to get? And which abilities do I want to, increase and all that stuff. And you can do that for every single character. Like once you get all of your companions, you can have up to, I think it's like 6 people in the party at a time. So 5 other characters other than the character that you have.
Yeah.
And then there's at least another 6 or so that you can pick up as well. And then you can switch them out and do different things.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know. It's really fun. It's got some annoyances that I fixed with mods.
That's a nice thing about a PC, is it?
Yeah. I put like this fun mod pack called Bag of Tricks that combined a bunch of stuff from when like they're all coming out into one thing, so I didn't have to do a bunch of separate things. So it's like, hey, I change the zoom level so I can zoom out more than the game did, so I can actually see stuff. I can zoom the map screen out a little bit more so I can actually see things, because it just felt like way too cropped in. And then there's some other little like weird tweaks that I would do to the interface and stuff like that that made it a lot better. But yeah, like, I don't know, the game's really fun. Again, it's a game that's like got some flaws to it, but it's still a lot of fun. Kind of like Astral Chain, but just a completely different kind of game. I would still say Divinity Original Sin 2 is the best of the recent games of this type.
I need to buy
but
that.
This one is more classic, where it's the combat, where it's real-time pausable, and it's doing all like the dice rolls in the background, whereas Divinity Original Sin is like full-on turn-based.
Turn-based, yeah.
Yeah, it looks really neat. I've never heard of it before. I've never heard of Pathfinder before, but I'm not into tabletop. I don't know a whole lot about tabletop these days.
Pathfinder it was out a little bit before, I don't know how long before the 5th edition of D&D, but it's very similar to Dungeons and Dragons rule set. But it has its own spin. But some of the spells even have same names. Some of them have a different name, but do the same things as D&D. And so I don't know. It's D&D adjacent, I'd say. I don't know all the history behind it, but yeah, it's very much a same type of like a system.
Yeah,
high fantasy, whatever.
I would enjoy
orcs
that.
and elves, and most of the classes I believe are all the same. I don't know if it was. Yeah, I don't know the history of it. But
yeah.
It is related to D&D in some way. I don't know if it was ever officially related to it and then it spun off or what it is. But yeah.
Well,
I think I am. Yeah, I'm in the 4th chapter of the game. I think there's 5 from what I've read.
Yeah. I haven't been into tabletop in almost 25 years, so a lot's changed since I was. We used to be into it in high school and college, and then after we all went our separate ways, we got married and moved away. We never had anybody that we really played tabletop with anymore. Yeah. So I literally have no idea what the hot thing is in tabletop now. I hear it offhand and stuff. So when I saw that Pathfinder, I'm like, never heard of this game. What's this about? I'm going, tabletop based on what is? I never even heard that. It's like,
yeah, well, I mean, it's existed for a while. They just put out like the 2nd edition of Pathfinder's rule set recent, like a month or two ago or something. Not that long ago. But it existed before kind of like the boom of kind of role-playing stuff in the last like 5 years. It's existed since a little bit before that, so it's not like it's a brand new thing. They just haven't had a video game of it until this.
And it doesn't look like this is like co-op or anything, is it? It's just single player.
It's just single player from what I know, yeah. So, the only one of those ones that has co-op that I know of is Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah, it'd be a cool one to have co-op with. It looks cool though. It looks really neat.
I don't think it wouldn't work for co-op. They'd have to have a completely different thing to do.
Oh, well, you said it was the stop and the go. Yeah, that would. That would be kind of hard.
Yeah, but even if it was like, okay, you assigned and you can control different characters, it still wouldn't quite work just because of the way that the combat works. They would have to tweak it a lot just because of the way the enemies are. You would die before you'd figure out what you're doing if you couldn't pause it on a whim. or you just set it so easy that it wouldn't matter and you wouldn't have to care about what spells or what abilities you're using. You'd just be like, dead.
Yeah.
So making a co-op game out of that, they would definitely have to change things up a lot
I
from
can
how
see
it
that.
exists.
Makes sense. Cool.
But yeah, it's got, you're kind of like, the cool twist to this one is you start the game and you're just like an adventurer. A bunch of adventurers are called together to like, hey, go out into these lands that are overrun by bandits, and there's like a bandit king that's overrunning them. We want to tame these lands and start a barony there, and whoever does this task will become the baron of these lands. And so after kind of the first act of the game, you've done that, and then you're like, oh, hey, now you have kingdom management on top of like the adventuring stuff.
Oh, wow.
So you have like different roles that you set advisors to, which is a lot of your companions, and then some other important NPCs. You can slot them in there, and they have different kind of alignments for like, hey, this person will do this, typically like this type of thing when they deal with it, and then they bring a problem to you, and you're ranking up stats in your kingdoms, and every time you take over a new territory, you like found a village there, and then you can build buildings in it and upgrade it. I don't know, it's kind of a neat system on top of the RPG that doesn't influence a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of window dressing. It's still fun, but it's kind of like, okay, I think you can even just set it fully automatic if you don't want to do any of it.
Yeah, I figured. I always like it. Sometimes in games like that, I like just click and let it do. That's what I do with the Marvel Ultimate Alliance, or not Ultimate Alliance, the Marvel Strike Force on the mobile game is like that. I just open it up, put it on automatic, and say, "Hey, you guys fight while I'm over here doing this." Yeah. Oh, it's done. Okay, cool. Let's do it again.
So it's got like several major quests will have a time limit on it.
Yeah.
So the first thing when you go out there is like, "Hey, you have 90 days to defeat the Bandit Lord," and that one was pretty easy. I did it like half the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, if you waste time just running all over the map and not doing anything and not beating them, like, oops, you ran out of time.
Wow, that's crazy. It's good though. It's cool. It looks like a neat game. I'll add it to my Steam wish list and maybe.
But yeah, you can tweak it a little bit to where it can be a lot more mechanically heavy, where you really like think about, okay, like I can only carry this much stuff. I have to have rations with me and I have to do this. Or you can like ease the rules back off of that and make like fights easier, but also some of that other stuff too a little bit easier.
Oh, cool. I like games that you could do that with. They give you the ability to make
kind of tweak it.
And hey, if you get mods, you can tweak it even more.
Yeah, sounds like it. It sounds like the way to go is get mods.
One mod I would suggest if you want to play this game, there's a mod that is just basically a pack of character portraits.
Uh-huh.
So the game has like a dozen or something. There's not very many choices. So you just like, there's a mod you can get you downloaded and put it in like a proper folder basically. And then like, suddenly you have like dozens and dozens of pictures to choose from. So you can get cooler ones. You can also put your own custom one in if you want to make your own character art, you could.
Oh, you could put the one out with you going that you used to have as your... That would be great. Hey, look at this. That's who I want to be. That's my mind.
Yeah. Well, they have like 3 different sizes. They have like the little head portrait that would be like your little squares at the bottom of the screen for all your characters. And then you have like full length, bigger picture that shows loading screens and some other stuff. And then they have like a medium sized one. It just depends on where it's using it in the game.
Cool. Very, very neat. Well, not a whole lot of news to talk about, but there is a couple things I thought we'd touch on. State of Play airs Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. Eastern. According to PlayStation Blog, it will not have any next-gen stuff. It's only going to be around 20 minutes. I have a feeling it's going to be Last of Us 2 is probably what they're going to talk about. Oh, we know it's
Last of Us 2. They have confirmed that it will be there.
Oh, was it confirmed? Okay. Yeah. I knew it was heavily rumored.
And even before that, everyone's just like, hey, wait, they're doing a press event where they're demoing Last of Us 2 at the same time this thing is going to air. Gee, I wonder if it will show up in the stream or not.
Yeah. So,
but then they officially have come out since then and said, yes, it will be there.
Oh, okay. So the blog hadn't been updated with that, so I wasn't real sure.
We don't know if it'll just be a trailer. We don't know if it'll be a date, but if it's not a date, then people are going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I figure we'll probably get a date with that. on that at least.
February or March. That's what I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, I'm February seems like a good time. February, March seems like about.
Yeah, and there'd been like some leak on some retailer site too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I always take those with a grain of salt, but I could see that because let's see, when Cyberpunk? It's
Cyberpunk is March.
It's April.
Oh, is it April?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yes, trust me, I know when that game is coming out.
I knew, that's why I asked Nathaniel. That's why I asked because I knew Nathaniel would have it. He'd know right then and there what it was. Cause
there's a lot coming out around that time, man. I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having another heavy early part of the year next year in 2020.
Yeah. Gears of 5 is the...
Gears of 5.
Or Gears of 5. Gears of War 5. Jeez.
It's not even called that. It's Gears 5.
It's just Gears 5. It's still Gears of War 5 to me. I don't care if it's Gears 5 or not.
But they dropped the of War.
Of War. So Gears 5 is the biggest launch week of any Xbox Game Studio title this generation. In fact, it's been the largest one since Halo 4 for Xbox.
Way to spin the stuff, guys. Way to spin.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's Game Pass on PC and the Xbox have had a lot to do with that.
They're never going to tell us, but I'd be curious how many people bought that game at retail and how much of that is just Game Pass people play.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that too, but you're right. You'll probably never see it.
3 million, it says 3 million player count was tracked from early access launch on September 6th through the past weekend, and this article was posted the 16th. So, I mean, that's a lot of people, but I know there is a lot of, they were doing the deal for the Ultimate, the Game Pass Ultimate. It was like $2 for 2 months. So, I know a lot of people cashed in on that time to play Gears of War and then get out, but I think that has a lot to that, as far as player base, that's pretty big, with that many people playing at one time. Now, how many actual copies of the game were sold? I too would be interested in seeing that. But this might point at, Microsoft saying, well, Game Pass, we knew Game Pass worked well anyway. With the amount of, people playing, this game, it would be interesting to see how many just got it on Game Pass. And
I mean, if nothing else, it has gotten a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
Possibly because of people playing on Game Pass.
Yeah,
there's saying, hey, you should play it, right?
There's a lot of people that I have seen or heard on different podcasts and shows playing it that don't have an Xbox, that have a PC, and normally wouldn't buy it, but they opted in for the Game Pass to try it out because they haven't played Gears of War since like the 360 days, so
yeah,
and that's fine. I mean,
I've been tempted to get it, and I probably will at some point. I still have like a 1 month free Game Pass trial from when I bought my Xbox that I still haven't activated, so I could easily play it if I wanted to.
Well, that's what
in the middle of other stuff. So.
Well, yeah, and that's what I told my buddy. I was like, I said, eventually when you want, I said, I've already got Game Pass. I said, but if you want to play Gears sometime, I said, it's only going to take us probably about 6 to 7, maybe 8 hours for both of us to play it at the same time. I said, let me know. We'll set up a weekend. You pay your $1 or $2 for Xbox Ultimate, download it, we'll play it, and then you can cancel it. And then you can get your Gears fix in. So, that's that may be what a lot of people did, just get in and out.
I think it's funny here where like Gears 5 and Borderlands 3 have come out at a similar time frame, and Gears 5 is getting the, hey, we like playing this game because there's not a lot of games like this anymore. It's this big action spectacle thing. Whereas Borderlands 3 is getting a little bit more of like, oh, it's just more Borderlands, even though they've improved it in several areas. It's just more Borderlands. So it hasn't been getting the same type of like word of mouth around it as Gears has.
Well,
even though they're kind of like both throwbacks in a way.
I'd kind of heard that the PlayStation 4 version of Borderlands had some issues, technical issues,
all of them
or something
do.
like. All of them do. See, I wasn't real sure if it was just consoles or if it was PC and consoles.
No, it's a little hit or miss on some of them where it's still playable, but for like consoles, unless they fixed it, it was all like playing split screen co-op was just broken, and some other things were messed up. Playing in like 4K just didn't work very well. Like everything was popping in all the time and a lot of stuff. And then like the PC was having its own weird issues, and they've thrown some patches out there, so it could be fixed by now. I haven't been playing it, but
that is one game that I just could not get excited for or even care about playing. Everybody jumped
Oh,
from
man.
Division 2 on into Borderlands 3, and I'm like, it's.
I
just
love
more-
Borderlands 1 and 2. But with 3, I'm just like, I don't.
I did, yeah.
They haven't made enough changes or improvements to it. Like they've done a lot of quality of life things and like changed the gun mechanics enough that like it feels modern. But just the overall structure of what you're doing is like it's Borderlands again. I don't know that I need to play another one of those right now.
Yeah, me neither. That's kind of the way I felt about the whole thing too. So, because my buddy actually texted me the other day, and goes, "So, when we get to Borderlands 3 session in?" I go, "Not with me, you're not, because I didn't buy it, and I'm not planning on buying it." So.
I told all my friends that too because they were like they're also kind of in the same situations where I'm just not interested in it. But I told them I was like, look, I'm not opposed to playing it, but no money's coming out of my pocket to do so.
Yeah.
So
yeah. If it goes,
It's definitely a game that's better if you're playing it with people.
right.
And if some of the modes where you're playing it with people are still bugged, it's like wait till it's fixed. Because
I bought it to
it's
play. I bought
way
it to play
better
with my
playing it
friends,
with
but other
co-op.
than that, like,
I didn't. I literally 3 or 4 of my friends that we usually play online co-op games with all bought it, and I went, I'll catch you guys later. It's fine. We'll catch you on the next one. Maybe it'll be on sale.
I will
November
probably
or
pick it up at some point when it's on sale for like at least half off.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because
not.
I like Borderlands enough that I probably want to play it at some point, but
Yeah.
I don't need to get it right now.
Yeah, I don't either. There's way too many other games that I really want to play right now. So
It's not even that. It's like there's not really that many games coming out this fall that I absolutely want to play. It's just like the couple that I'm playing right now is like, all right, I don't need to throw Borderlands on it too.
yeah, that's true. Remedy announced a content roadmap for Control, and one of the teased paid expansions was called AWE, with a flashlight, along with letters A and W. So
AWE from the Control universe is Altered World Event.
Right.
They call AWEs in there all the time, but you could also think of it as Alan Wake expansion.
Yep, that's
The
what I
logo
thought.
is the bottom is Control. The top is
Yep.
literally the cover of Alan Wake, and it's got like trees in the flashlight. So yeah, like
yeah. So that's
It's
exactly
Alan
what I
Wake.
say. It's got to be an Alan Wake.
that
thing,
game
so.
has a bunch of Alan Wake Easter eggs in it too, including Alan Wake himself, which I did not discover until video. There's an actual like video of Alan Wake in the game.
Yeah. So apparently it's not coming out till early 2020. Actually, that one doesn't hit till middle 2020. The first
Yeah.
paid expansion comes out early 2020. So we've got a while to wait on it to find out. But as soon as I saw that story, I was like, I got to put that in for Nathaniel because I know he'll be happy about that.
Yeah, when that came out, I was like, nice. Now I'll just do an actual Alan Wake game.
Yeah, really. Yeah, just do an Alan Wake game.
I
now.
hope
That'd be
they do.
great.
I hope they go back to that because I love that game
Yeah, it
so
was-
much.
it
And
was really good.
American Nightmare was also really good.
Yeah. BioWare has abandoned its current Anthem post-launch plans. This is not all bad news, people. They're going back.
Yes,
and
it
they're,
is.
Well, okay,
Yes,
yeah,
it
it
is.
is. At least they're.
It sounds to me like what they're saying here is like, hey, you know that game we put out? We know that it's not that great. We're going to go and fundamentally, like, just remake it now.
Yeah, they're going to
much
go
as-
back and remake it, which means I am going to uninstall it from my hard drive and not play it, just like I did Destiny 2.
I wonder if they're gonna have. Well, yeah, actually, Destiny's a good example. But if they're gonna have, it just reminds me of No Man's Sky all over again. But I don't know if they're gonna have that same
This
success
isn't the
that No Man's
same
Sky.
as No Man's Sky in that they were forced to put it out too early, but also just behind the scenes, they totally just screwed up making this game.
Right.
fundamentally.
Yeah.
Nobody
Oh,
wanted
that's
to
what I
make
mean
decisions.
mainly.
No Man's Sky was just like too ambitious for a tiny team, whereas
Sure.
this is freaking gigantic BioWare, and EA can throw as much as they need to at it, and it
Right.
still was as flawed as it was.
If they would pull it around like No Man's Sky has pulled around, I would be
that'd be cool.
it'd be cool. But I would be utterly shocked if it happened that way.
Not gonna happen.
I don't think so either. When I
For
read
a
this,
couple reasons. EA doesn't want to do it,
Mhm.
and
They don't wanna
it's
spend money on
way bigger than No Man's Sky, so it would cost way more
Right.
money because
That's
of
right.
just the scope of the game and just the studio itself is too big to kind of keep running and pouring money into that versus letting them do other games.
when I saw the title, I read the article, I went, "Yep, It's time for me to uninstall Anthem because I will never play it again.
Well, they've already had this earlier when it came out, where they had this roadmap and they weren't hitting it because they were just fixing all the stuff. And then it just seems like this is an extension of that, where it's like, we're going to continue to,
It must be,
guys, we're going to fix it, really.
it must be so stressful in that office. Like, just, why every meeting, just like, well, guys, there's another thing we didn't hit. So how are we going to rectify this? Meanwhile, like,
it'll be like that. It'll be like that commercial that I see on TV where they go into the meeting, but everybody's happy because they're eating Philadelphia cream cheese on bagels.
right.
Yeah, they got something. They got something good there, so it could be the worst meeting ever, but it's a distraction. So it's like, hey, we got donuts over here, guys. You want to eat the donuts? Oh yeah, we're eating the donuts. Hey, guess what? This game ended up being terrible. Oh yeah, it did.
It did, but I'll tell you something about this Boston cream, though.
Distracted by this donut.
Yeah, so and it's sad. I had high hopes for Anthem.
But they just there's no way that game was going to work with all the stuff behind the scenes that came out about it. Of just how many issues they ran into. Man, some self-caused, some not.
The first 10 minutes of it, I was like, yeah, this is going to be cool. And then I got about in the first 3 hours of it, and I went, no, it's not. And I went ahead and played through it. We co-op with the guys, and they were like, hey, let's go do this. I'm like, I think I'm okay.
It's one of those games that, like, on paper, that has so much potential, but then you look at the game they made, and you're like, but on paper, you should have done this, this, and this, because other games have already solved those problems. Why are you just ignoring it?
Yeah. And the
my copy is still sealed.
Well, and I remember you posted on Twitter. I forget how much it was that you.
It was only $10.
Yeah, you were like, it's only $10. How bad can it be? It'll be okay for $10. And I just replied with a GIF of an NBA coach laughing really hard and then going, no.
You and a couple people commented and they literally, that was the consensus, just like, nah, and not even for $10. But to be fair, I paid $10 for Destiny also. So
well, and I paid $100 for Destiny. I paid $100 for Destiny 2, and I paid $60 for Anthem. So
my condolences.
Well, Destiny 1, we loved Destiny 1. We played Destiny 1. We loved it. We had a great time. I put 500-600 hours in it. So when Destiny 2 come out, it's like, well, I'm going to go ahead and buy the collector's edition. It's got the expansion pack in it. It's going to be just as good. Literally, I got halfway. I played the campaign and went, nope. I'm done. This is not good. And
maybe now that Bungie is on their own again, Destiny 3 or whenever it comes out will be better. Who knows?
Hopefully. I don't know. I keep seeing things about the, update this and update that with Destiny, and I'm like, nope, I'm not going back and install it to see.
One of the things that I don't like, I don't know. But one of the things with like Destiny and some other games like that just gets them in trouble is when they keep adding on things but making it more and more complex. So if anyone wants to jump in, there's no way they're going to figure it all out. Even people who just stuck with it the whole time was like, wait, you've added system over system over system, and now this means that, and all this other gear I used to have is trash now, but if I do this to it, I can upgrade it. And it's just like, it gets so complicated. Yeah. Unless you're super diehard, you're not going to put the time in.
There are those guys out there, though, and I just...
Oh, yeah.
God bless them.
Out there, but your game's only going to last so long if you can't have new people come into it.
Yeah. All right, so this next story is the weird story. This is the Colonel Sanders official KFC dating sim called Smoochy Colonel Sanders. It's actually called I Love You Colonel Sanders is the name of the game. It's actually available on Steam, which is really weird. And the description of it is, according to Steam, you're in culinary school, and your classmate is the Colonel himself.
The thing about this that's just like,
it's so weird.
Someone has a demented sense of humor, and I know it's the KFC like tagline, but the full title also has a finger licking good dating simulator on it. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, the full title is I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator.
I mean, this is one of those things is just, how did this come to exist? It's weird and crazy. I think it's hilarious that it does, but why?
Oh, yeah.
How did this come to pass?
Ooh, yeah.
No one wanted a KFC dating simulator. That's just weird.
Someone was bored.
I drove past a KFC in Pittsburgh while I was up there last week, and they are test marketing a chicken sandwich where the bun is 2 glazed donuts.
Oh yeah, I saw the screenshots of that. There's literally 2 places in the country you can
Yep.
get it. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no.
And I actually drove past one of them that I could get it at, and I went, no, I'm not going to get that. And I like donuts, I like chicken, but I don't like them together.
Yeah, I don't want to get it.
Chicken.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
like chicken and waffles. I ain't getting a freaking donut chicken sandwich.
yeah, I do. I love chicken and
Yeah,
waffles.
just
I'm not
go.
gonna-
Yeah. Is it going to be a good donut or a crummy glazed donut, or
It looks like a Krispy Kreme glazed donut to me.
Yeah, like the picture looks like, okay, this is the best we could possibly make this look, and that's unappealing. And you know the version you'll actually get at the restaurant is gonna not look anywhere close to the product photos.
Just bring the double down back, you cowards. that was the one where there was no bun. It was two chickens.
Was that the-
crispy chicken,
that's right,
the bacon
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the two chicken with the
That was
bacon and the cheese
There
in the
you
middle.
go. You need
Hey, I
crispy
was- chicken
chicken and then use grilled chicken as the buns. There you go. That's what you do, KFC. That's the audience you need to go back for, not this donut. More meat. That's what you need.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And our last 2 stories are kind of both connected there. GameStop is going to close up to 200 underperforming stores worldwide. It's really not a ton of stores. They have 5,700 stores worldwide. If anything, it's probably ones that are like in Greensboro where there's 7 stores within a mile and a half of each other
Like,
that they're closing.
hey,
up.
this one's still
That's right.
open, but the one across the street closed.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why you did that.
And there's a lot of restructuring going on in GameStop. They recently laid off about 120 corporate employees. They also laid off 50 regional district managers and consolidated regional offices and things like that. So they're just in a mode where they're trying to condense things. They're trying to get rid of redundancies to kind of save some money. I totally get that.
I think it's just not even the beginning, but the avalanche is gonna catch up with them, and then eventually they're gonna go away unless they completely somehow manage to change the way that they're doing stuff and become a different store, basically. So even then, GameStop as we know it would be.
I was thinking about this the other day, where I'm kind of amazed that I think Barnes and Noble will outlive GameStop.
Yeah, I think
and
you're right.
it's so long.
I don't know. I hate to
is,
see GameStop go away, just because I think you still need a place like GameStop.
There we go. Yep. That's 100%.
It's like I say, I don't think you need 5 or 10 ones in one town. I think one,
Yeah,
two.
that's dumb.
I think take Raleigh. Have one north, south, east, west. Okay, I get that. But you don't need like one on the south side of town with one right across the street from the mall where there's one in that mall. You just don't need those kind of redundancies. And I think if they would scale that back, they would they would save a lot of money.
Yeah, it's still the problem of, hey, we bought these other game stores and turned them into ours without thinking that we didn't need to have 3 stores right next to each other and never changed it.
Yeah. And I've said it a dozen times before. That's the way it was in Greensboro. There was one a mile up the road. There was then they built another one a mile down the road, and then there was one in the mall that was a mile front. That was literally a mile circle where there's 3 stores at, and it was just silly. It was just dumb. But those are the ones that, and that may be how they, like I said, they may restructure things that way. The other thing was there was a Facebook video that popped up of a redesigned GameStop. Apparently, this was talked about at the GameStop managers conference. Of course, it wasn't supposed to be talked about in the public, but I mean, I don't know if you
very much like a GameStop.
Yeah,
it maybe even used to, where it's like just games on shelves and stuff. The only like big difference I saw is that the back they have the play area.
Yeah, they had the play
TVs
area. They had the TVs. They had the couch up front. They had the nice tables with the clothes stack, the shirts and stuff. I don't like you see in a clothing store, but and then in the back they had games systems set up, old tube TVs with old classic consoles and stuff set up on them. I don't know if this would be enough to save them or not, but it's definitely I like the way it looks.
I think it's a
Uh,
Step in the right
okay
direction.
idea that's not going to work precisely because gaming stores already exist, like board games, tabletop games, and that's like a community space where people come and play games there.
Right.
They're trying to do the same thing for video games, and I don't think that that's going to work as much because one, the crowd probably isn't quite as big for that. That's just going to want to keep going into GameStop on like every Wednesday night or
Right.
whatever to do whatever tournament they're doing. Whereas like there's also some overlap with gaming stores, so it's like, hey, I'm already going to like these Magic the Gathering tournaments over here, playing D&D at this game store or whatever. I can't go to the GameStop and play
Right.
Smash Bros or whatever they're doing, right? So I think it'll have varying success depending on what market that they're in.
Right, and I think somewhere like around here that would work real well. We're a small. We don't have a place like that. Even in like Huntington, that's a bigger town, and Charleston, that's a capital, they don't have a place like that. So I could see that going over. Yeah, they even had on the wall. They had you could buy snacks. They had candy bars. They had chips and
straight from gaming stores do the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah. And when I worked at the mom and pop store there in Greensboro, we had a whole area that you could do D&D, you could do tabletop, we had TVs set up where you could come play.
Even comic stores, a lot of them will have community areas like that too.
Yeah.
So it's not
But,
like it's a new thing. It's just kind of new for video games specific.
Yeah, and but here in town, we don't have we're a small community. We don't have a place like that, so I could see that maybe going over well. Even like I said, even Huntington, they used to have a place like that, but there was a mom and pop video game store down there that had that. They closed up. Where GameStop has the money to keep funneling into that, maybe it might go over a little better there. I don't know. It's a college town.
GameStop has.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, you know what I mean. They're a bigger conglomerate, so they could pull from other places.
Definitely more than just a single mom and pop
right?
store.
Yeah. So
quarters in the couch.
Yeah. So I could see it going over in some places, but like in bigger places like Raleigh and Charlotte, where there's already those. Mom and pop places set up and gaming places set up there. I don't see people going, well, we're going to go to GameStop instead of going to the dungeon lair that we've always went to for
it'll
15
depend
years.
Completely on the local store and how much they put into doing programs and stuff of setting things up that people want to come to. Like if you do a bunch of different like fighting game tournaments or this or that to bring people in and you like continuously like work at it and get it out, the word out that they're doing it,
or maybe have
and get a crowd in and build it up.
People in.
It'll take a lot of work. They could do it, but it's going to take a lot of work at each individual place to really like get it going and keep it going.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with GameStop. I have I worked for GameStop for a long time, and I know Dennis did too.
I never go there.
Did Robert.
Yeah.
I don't go there very often. Like I said, if it's something that I can't get anywhere else, I'll go there. Or if it's something I need in a pinch, and I don't want to wait on Amazon to send it, I'll go there. But most of the time it's Amazon. Well, I bought my Switch at Target. I didn't buy it at
I usually run up to Target because Target's right up the road. There's a GameStop block or two from Target, but like, nope, I'll go a little bit further to go to Target because they're gonna have anything I want.
Yeah,
I still buy a lot of stuff at GameStop, and I say GameStop, Target, Amazon, usually Walmart, and then the dread of Best Buy.
We walked into Best Buy the other day. I was meeting a guy in Huntington to pick up a arcade marquee, and we were killing time before he got there. And I told Nikki, I said, well, let's run into Best Buy for a minute. It's the first time I'd stepped foot in a Best Buy in probably at least a year, maybe two. I just don't go to Best Buy very often. I just don't do shopping at Best Buy.
And occasionally there's good deals, but it's not that great. I always feel like I get pestered more. Like, let's say if I go to a GameStop outside my town, okay, don't know the people there, probably get pestered, but just tell them, hey, I'm browsing, just go in time, whatever. But at Best Buy, I get pestered, and then I ask for help, and no one can help me, and I'm just eventually I just get annoyed.
Let me tell you, we walked into the Best Buy, and we were looking. They have a nice big Apple section, and we thought, well, maybe we'll look at watch bands and see what kind of watch bands they have. We just got our Apple Watches, and literally there was 7 people staring. No. I couldn't get help. Nobody, no, they were too busy talking with themselves and hanging out over in the corner or whatever. And I was like, finally, we walked up and go, "Where are the Apple Watches?" And they were just like, "Oh, they're over there." All right, here you go. Yeah, okay, let's go. It's like,
I'll do store pickup, and on Black Friday occasionally I'll check out their deals, and occasionally they still have good stuff, but they're just I don't know.
yeah,
Customer service
I don't
isn't
know.
very
It's
well anymore.
it's like I bought the Switch Lite from Target. I literally have a red card. I went
I want that.
5% off, so I got $10 off of it. I went, I'll pick it up in store. I didn't. I literally walked up to the counter, went, "Here's my barcode." They scanned it, and I got it, and I walked out. That was literally what it was. It's like at Walmart. I had to stop at Walmart the other day. Nikki made an order. They have a tower in the middle of Walmart at the door. I literally walked in, scanned my phone. A little machine went, dropped it down. I took my box and I left. Never talked to a soul. Never looked at a greeter. Never did nothing.
Never
It
talked
was
to a
like.
soul. That's the important part.
And I was totally fine with that. It's like, and a lot of times if I do get something at GameStop, that's what I do. I don't go in and shop. I literally go on the app and go, "Oh, this GameStop has this game I've been looking for that I can't find anywhere else." In-store pickup. Up, I got my email. All right, I drive to GameStop, walk out, get my game, and I walk out the door. It's literally what I do most of the time at places like that. So I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see what happens to GameStop. I know a lot of people out there want them to die, but I hate to see any store like that disappear because
Me too.
competition is
No matter
good.
what your personal opinion is.
Yeah. But all right. Anything else? Anybody got anything else they want to talk about before we new and interesting things that we might have missed? I can't think of anything. So, all right. Well, we're going to call that a show then. What's that? What's that, Dennis?
No, I was thinking, but I can't.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think anything special.
No, not yet. Not yet. We got a couple weeks before the special stuff starts rolling. Yeah,
That's
we'll
right.
be.
That's right.
We got a couple weeks here, and then all of a sudden it's going to be.
October will be juicy. So
Yeah, actually, October's pretty slow for me. Other than I might pick up Luigi's Mansion, but other than that, I don't think there's really anything
This
new.
entire
That's a
fall
necessity.
is
That's non-negotiable.
Not much for me. There's
Mhm.
just there's like stuff coming out, but most of it is just not anything I really
Well,
want to
in
play.
November it'll be Star Wars and Pokemon, and that's pretty much it till.
Which I don't
first
know
of
if I'm
the
gonna
year.
play either of those unless Star Wars gets really great reviews, then maybe. But
I'm going to take a chance.
for it,
I got it.
I'm not
I got it
taking a
for.
chance. There's no reason to take a chance on it when you can wait for reviews and buy it like the day of or
Yeah.
the day before and still pre-order and get any bonuses. It's just
Well,
like,
the
EA has screwed Star Wars over so much. There's no way I'm just gonna rush out and get it.
Well, the only reason I did was because Amazon had it for $40 one day, and
That's
I
not-
pre-ordered it for $40. I think I've got it for 45 or something like that. So that's the only reason why I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to find it that cheap even around launch. I might find it for. I'll take a chance on it for that.
Yeah.
So that's like with the Pokemon games. I got those for 47 a piece or $50, something like. I got them cheaper anyway. And Nikki always wants one too, so we always end up buying two of them. Buying one of each. So
I'm really scared of the speaking of EA because I completely forgot that there's a new Need for Speed coming out this year.
oh Lord, I had
And,
no idea.
It won't be good.
And yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
you're
like ever
right.
since unfortunately ever since Ghost Games took over and started developing those games, it's just a shame what that series has come to. Need for Speed used to stand for something, and now it's just I don't even look at it anymore. Not with Forza over here, killing it every year. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a shame because it's upsetting for me because I'm a big racing guy. So Need for Speed, is like I said, meant something for so long, but now it's really sad. So
Yeah, that used to be a good thing,
Yeah.
and then Burnout used to exist.
that's right.
Now
Burnout.
the only really good one seems to be Forza. Then there's a few
Yep.
other ones on PlayStation that are okay-ish, I guess.
Everyone's going to kart racers now. That's a new thing.
True.
What I want is another SSX game, man. I used to love those.
Yeah,
no one's gonna make
Yes.
another one of those.
How'd
It's
you
not
feel
gonna
about
happen.
Steep?
I played the beta demo, whatever of it. Didn't really like it.
Mm.
It was probably fine. I just didn't like what they did with it. It was a little bit. I don't know. It's not really sim, but it's close enough to that it it's not the over the top fun like the SSX games were. They
Sure,
were
yeah.
cartoony and just like arcadey, and like you get all the goofy costumes and characters and stuff. It didn't have any of that, and that's what I like about those
Right.
kind of games.
Yeah. Similar to like the older Tony Hawks and stuff like that. too.
Yeah, like similar thing. Yeah.
Yeah, boy, there was a game that came out and was terrible and disappeared super quick. Was Tony Hawk? Was that 5? It came out on
5,
the
yeah.
PS4.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, of all the games,
I
it's
even
like,
liked the SSX game they put out last generation on like PS3, 360. It was a pretty good game. It
Yeah,
wasn't,
that one
I
wasn't
didn't
too
like it as
bad.
much as a couple of the previous ones, but it was still really good. And I would love to see an HD version of those kinds of games. But unless like Stupid come out and sold millions of copies, there's no way anyone else is going to make a snowboard game.
You're probably right. Oh, I do have Shimnu on November too. I forgot about that.
Yes, and I found out that Kickstarter I backed is the physical version.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I have 2 copies coming. I've got the Kickstarter version that I backed, and then I did get the limited edition one from.
Yep.
Oh, you got that? That's awesome.
Yep, me too.
That's awesome.
It actually didn't sell out as quick as I thought it was. I was actually getting ready to go to work, and I planned my whole schedule around that. I was like, okay, I got to do this before I go to work. So I'm sitting here at the computer at 10 o'clock, and it's like, Susan, come up. I'm like, pum, 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 pum. And like, yeah, and then I go to the bathroom and wash my face, and then I go get dressed, and it's like 40 minutes later. I'm like, oh, it's still available. That's kind of
It
weird.
sold out like a couple hours afterwards.
40
It
minutes,
wasn't
45
crazy.
minutes is when it's sold out.
I
Sold
like
out
it
45
plenty of
minutes.
times.
Yeah,
Because
so
they only
it's
had
like
what, 3,000, 2,000,
5.
3,000?
They had 5,000 is what they had.
Oh, 5,000. Okay, gee.
Yeah.
I thought just like 5.
No.
I was like,
Y'all
what?
Mark,
Yes, they had 5. I got 1, and Eric got 1, and 3 other people in the world.
And it took 45 minutes for that to happen.
Yeah.
too, so
Yeah, and
that's
some
not
of
that
those
much
things,
demand.
as John knows, sell out within less than a minute.
Yeah, and I was
Stop.
I was expecting it just to sell out like that because most of those, when they limit them like that, usually, and it was what was bad was there was no limit on how many you could buy. I could have walked in there and bought 20 if I wanted to, and it was
Right.
like somebody is going to buy a bunch of
Wow.
them, and slap them on eBay. I know what's going to happen,
Yep.
and it didn't happen. I'm shocked and somewhat appalled by that. So.
I did buy that limited run Jay and Silent Bob Mall.
Oh,
Brawl
the NES one?
Yeah, it looked really cool. I got the green one. I was like, you know what? That's kind of neat. I'm kind of a fan of those movies, and it's supposed to be kind of cool. So I watched a couple like little gameplay videos. Like, I'll get it.
That thing
looks
kind of
neat.
came from out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting that to even be a thing.
Yeah, I
and-
saw like a gameplay video too. It looked pretty cool. I kind of wanted the Way Forward game, the River City Girls.
Yeah, I'm going to get that. It's still available for pre-order. I'm going to get it.
Okay,
next-
that's
I'm
what I was
gonna
going
get
to
it
ask
pre-orders.
because I want that. That's the one that I really want. I love Way Forward, and that game looks like genuinely really good.
Yeah, I
and
think
it was
it's
good.
the
I mean, I played it at
27th.
PAX, and it was good. Yeah, it closes this Friday.
Yeah, so I'm going to get it. Yeah, closes Friday. So I'm probably going to order it Friday. So
Okay.
because that does look cool. I do want that.
For my thing for limited run, I try to only get games that I really want to play, and I just
Wow, and that Jay
be
and Silent
spending
Bob game's still available. The gold one is.
Yep, I'd be spending a ton of money if I bought it every.
I have a few limited run games, but only because I've never actually bought from their website. It's just stuff that I've gotten
Yeah.
from
Best Buy.
conventions.
And
that I've
Oh,
seen
there's
them.
a-
Best Buy
there's a-
sells
Oh,
them
yeah.
too.
That's right, Best Buy.
has them occasionally, too. And there's a
Yeah.
local retro store that has them, but they're like 30 to 40% markup.
Oh wow.
I mean, at Portland Retro Gaming Expo, you're looking at 30%, 35%, and some of the stuff I was like, ooh, jeez.
That's crazy. There's some
and
local
yet,
stores that have them.
I'll
and
go
they
buy
don't
a
mark 'em
booth
up.
the second day at Portland Retro, and all that stuff's gone because there are people that will buy it.
Yep.
It is
Mhm.
nuts. I'm actually
Not high.
sending a couple. I'm sending a couple things, actually, a couple PS4 games, and I'm like, I don't really care. I'm never gonna play these.
There was a lot of them that I wanted, but it was just like I wasn't going to try to kill myself to get them. It was just like, man, whatever. That's why I'm glad they did the pre-order things. I finally got Bloodlines and whatever the other one was. Don't ever order the Messenger. Don't ever order 2 games at the same time from them. Because if one takes longer than the other, they will
Then they
not
just wait.
send you. And yeah, they'll wait until both of them come in. Before the sense, so like one
And
game, I waited like 5 months for before it.
And the only other game I bought from Special Reserve was I bought Strafe, but I bought the Messenger, and they shipped it within like 2 days.
Yeah, special runs like that. They get them in, and then they say, okay, they're up for pre-order, and then they send them really quick. But the limited run version didn't do that.
They're gonna have that Hotline Miami collection, and my friend Pedro. That game looked really cool. They're gonna have physical release of that. But I
actually have that game on the Switch. I have yet to play it. I bought it. It was on sale. I downloaded it, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." I was going through this moving stuff to Switch Lite last night, and went, "Oh yeah, I forgot I have this game. Haven't even played it yet." It's just like it's been a month or more.
If you have bought all those limited run games, even if you got them when they first came out, I bet the last several years you're probably 6 or 7 in the hole, most likely. Yeah. And that's $6 or $7 grand.
And I've seen people buy them and then just have been trying to dump them off here lately. Just trying to dump them off.
Because some of the games are not very good.
No, well, and some of them are not very expensive. They're not worth a whole lot. Not much more than what you paid for them.
You pay $35, and then 2 years later, it's $20 because it's a game that nobody wants. Not that it's a bad game, just nobody cares.
Yep. And that's where I think limited run, for some of the games like they've done on the Switch where they've taken the pre-orders out, they're good games. A lot of them are good games, and they're not too limited. They have a window. So, but these PlayStation and Vita ones that they just cranked out real quick, they're limited. They're limited, yeah. But these games stink, and nobody wants to play them. So
yeah, but the Vita stuff, that stuff just goes like that. It goes so quick.
Vita's got a lot of collectors.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Vita collectors are rabid people.
Yeah, we still cherish those physical releases. So.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, while you can, because they are dwindling away because they don't make those cartridges
anymore. I love my Vita. Okay.
I do too. I still love my Vita too. So, all right, guys. Well, we're going to call that a show. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us in the chat. We'll be back in probably about 2 weeks. Like I say, if you follow us on Twitter at GL_podcast, you'll always get at least 5 or 6 hours ahead of time before we come out, because we did start a little early tonight because I got to work tomorrow. So, I got to go out of town. Yeehaw! So, all right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for hanging out with us and checking out the show, and we will catch you guys next time.
Take care.
See you later.